there. All right, positive month. Boy, I like this positive month. I love this picture. I love that song we just sang. Beautiful. Thank you for singing. Thank you.
Good job, Sam.
All right, so I want to continue in that theme in November of positive month. And remember, sort of my theme of this is, even though there's a lot of good, even though there's a lot of bad things happening, there are a lot of good things happening. Okay? Even though there's a lot of bad things happening, there's a lot of good things happening. Not just in 2020, but our whole life. You know, and I know there's both, and I'm not neglecting that there is bad things, but we want to talk about the positive things. So this this morning, I want to talk about go around doing good. And it comes from this verse in Acts chapter 10, where Peter's preaching to Cornelius and the Gentiles. First time they get to hear the gospel, Jesus went around doing good. That's what he did. Now let me mention a couple of things, comments on this verse, and then I'm going to talk about people who did good. All right? This is doing something. It's not us planning to do something or thinking about doing something or talking about can't we do something. All those are good, but we actually have to do something. Okay? Jesus went around doing good. And then also, it should be a habit of life. He went around. It's a habit of our life. It's not, well, you know, it's Christmas. Let's do something good for somebody. Well, that's okay. Do that at Christmas. But do it in January, too. And February. All right? And also, Jesus was not just a good man, but he's a God man. And this is very, very important, because a lot of people think, well, yeah, Jesus was doing good because he was a good fellow. He was a good man, and he was a good man. But if he was only a good man, we wouldn't be sitting here today. It was because he came and died on the cross, rose on the third day, ascended back to heaven. He is a God man, the only one. And in Acts 10:36, 2 verses before what I just read, 10:38, Peter said, there is peace with God. How? Through Jesus Christ, who is Lord of all. Now you may have some career goals, and they may be getting to be head of my department, hitting the hub of the country, Lord of all. Well, you'll never make that last one, all right? You're not Lord of all. Jesus is Lord of all. And we need to make sure we understand. It's very, very important. He's not just a good man, not like Jesus, a good man. He was a good man, but he's God man. And good works, this is also very important, are not the way to salvation, but salvation should lead to good works. Because a lot of people have the idea, you know, I'm going to turn over a new leaf. I'm going to start being good, and then God will like me and take me to heaven. God already loved you and everybody and sent his son for you. He's just waiting for you to accept the salvation he's provided. Here it is. Will you take it? Because he's not going to force you to love him back or serve him or go to heaven. And so it's important to understand good works are good, and people who are not Christians do good works. But when we are followers of Jesus, it should definitely lead to good things in our life. Good works. So get the order there. Not saved through good works, but it leads to good works. And people are oppressed by the devil. You say, where do you get that? Well, I didn't read all of Acts 10:38. It continues on in Acts 10:38, and I didn't print it up here, but it says, and he went around doing good and healing all who were oppressed by the devil. Because this is a spiritual work. You say, I don't know about that devil stuff. I don't see any devil. Well, I don't see God, but I worship him. And I see the results of God, his handiwork. And a lot of times in this world, I see the results of the devil's handiwork too. He is at work oppressing people. And we need to understand that sometimes when we think we're going good, and wham, we get something out of left field to destroy our marriage or our children or anything else. The devil and his operatives are out there working. And Jesus was fighting against that when he ran around doing good. And so I say here, people who are oppressed the devil, still get to choose, but everybody's fighting a battle. Everybody's fighting a battle, which is one reason we need to go around doing good. Because you get to the point where you're so cynical and you hurt so much and you see so much bad, you say, wow, no good in this life, there must not be a God. And we can show that there is a God by our good works. So now I want to talk about some good works in the Bible and then some good works going on now. All right, anybody know who this guy is? Can you tell from the picture? Joseph. Potiphar's wife's trying to get him, seduce him. My husband's not around. Come on. And if anybody would have had an excuse to give in, to been Joseph, because he could have been a bitter man. I was trying to serve God. I was trying to do good. And what happened? My own brothers threw me in a pit, sold me as a slave. And now I'm down here in a foreign country, had to learn a new language, and I'm like a slave. And yeah, why shouldn't I go ahead and do what it doesn't matter? But Joseph did good. He resisted temptation. Now, at first he got thrown in prison because of a lie. But what happened? God used Joseph to save his whole family, which later became the nation of Israel, because Joseph did good. All right, here's another one. Let's see if you can tell who this is. Moses' mother. Yeah, Moses' mom. I think her name's Jochebed. The edict was out. All young males, you kill them. But she risked her own life to save her baby. And because she did, Moses became the man who led the children of Israel out of Egypt into the promised land. Became a great leader for God. Because she risked her life, she did good. All right? This was a little harder. The woman on the left is Ruth. Yeah, the one on the right's Naomi, your mother-in-law. She did good to her mother-in-law. Wow. You do good to your mother-in-law, you don't have to answer that. All right. When her mother-in-law was alone and hurting, Ruth could have went off on her own. I'm still young. I'm not hanging with this old lady. But she stayed by her mother-in-law and was there for her. And because of that, she was an ancestor of kings. And one of the ancestors of Jesus Christ. Because Ruth did good. All right. Then, this is a hard one to tell, so I have to tell you. That's Andrew talking to Peter. When Andrew first found Jesus, he became a Christian. What's the first thing he did? Oh, I got to tell my brother. We found the Messiah. And Andrew was a good man, but Peter became the leader of the disciples. He's the one who preached on the day of Pentecost, and 3,000 people got saved. Who preached in Acts chapter 10, where they read those verses, to the first Gentiles to become Christians. And Andrew helped Peter become a great leader. Andrew did good. He told his brother about Jesus. And this is, it's hard to tell, that's Stephen. A deacon. He wasn't even a preacher. But he stood for Jesus Christ, and they didn't like him. And here's the bad news. Sometimes when you do good, people still don't like it. But he did good anyhow. And because he did good anyhow, there was a guy standing in the background named Saul of Tarsus who was getting it all down, his message and the stand he took. And Saul of Tarsus became Paul the Apostle. And then I think I've got one more, Barnabas. And right there it says on that little book copy, the encourager. That was his nickname, son of encouragement. He went around encouraging somebody. That's Barnabas. Oh, he's the son of encouragement. He's an encourager. And when nobody else would accept Paul, Barnabas went and put his arm around him and said, I'll stay with you, and helped the other people to learn to trust him, and became such an encourager that they nicknamed him that. Barnabas did good. Many, many people we know in the Bible did good, but here's the thing. People are still doing good. I want to tell you a few of these stories, just from all around. This is it's an airport. This was after the Vietnam War. And a professor tells how he was speaking at a military base, and a soldier was coming to meet him at the airport and pick him up. As they're going down the airport concourse, this soldier runs over. He sees a woman, her suitcase fell and stuff on it. He helps this older woman with a suitcase. Then it's Christmas time, and he sees some kids are too little to see Santa Claus, so he lifts the kids up to see Santa Claus. They walk a little bit more, and here's a guy looking like he doesn't know where to go, and he goes over and gives him directions. They go 5 steps, and he stops to help somebody else, and the professor says, where did you learn to live like that? He said, what do you mean? He said, we can't go anywhere where you're stopping and helping somebody. He said, well, when I was in Vietnam, my duty was to clear mines. And I saw more than one friend who I saw him one step, and the next step, the mine blew him up. And I figured if I'm going to do good, I got to do it before the next step. live between the steps. And so I say to us, instead of waiting until we aren't so busy, we should do good today while we have the chance. We don't know if we're going to have a chance to do good next Sunday, so let's do good today and this week. All right then, here's another one. This is from a friend of mine. I've got an airplane there because years ago when I first went to Indiana as an assistant pastor, a little bit older than me, couple in the church, invited me over to lunch, and I can't remember if I'd married Sandy yet or not, but we went to lunch there on a Sunday afternoon. We got to talk about Sunday afternoon naps, which I love. And he said, oh, that reminds me, one time I was taking a nap here on the couch and heard a knock on the door, and it was a boy that was in the youth group we helped with. But now he'd grown, was in the military, was out on leave. He had a friend of his, and he said, I just want to stop and see you. He said, I told my friend how you flew an airplane and you took people up, and how much was that you charged to take people up? And he said, I told him how much it was to take people up. And he said, well, okay, it's good to see you. And he said, about 10 minutes after he left, he said, he probably came to bring his friend to get an airplane ride. I would have been glad to give him a free airplane ride, but I just didn't think about it. And he regretted, and this was years later, I regret I didn't give that guy an airplane ride for free. Because, you know, I read somewhere that people, when they're older, they have regrets about what they did do and shouldn't, but they have more regrets about what they didn't do and should have. And that's what his regret was. I'm not blaming him. He was a good guy, but he just wasn't thinking. And so I say, I thought I had a thing there. It said, when you got a chance to do good, grab it. When you got a chance to do good, grab it. He had a chance to do good and he regretted it. And we will too. We'll have a chance to do good. We'll have, why didn't I help them have a chance? Why didn't I invite them to church? Why didn't I pray with them when I had a chance? All right, here's a true story. It happened recently in my home state of Maryland. The man on the left, Mr. Lee, is 96 years old, a veteran of World War II. He's driving out and his tire's going flat, and he finally makes it into the Chick-fil-A parking lot. But at 96, he can't even surely remember how to change a tire. He walks into the clerk and he's almost in tears. My tire's flat and I don't know what to do. Well, the young guy at the counter tells his manager, his tire's flat. He didn't know what to do. He's out there in the parking lot. The manager, Mr. Howard, immediately goes out, and if he's the manager of Chick-fil-A, he's busy because they're always busy. But he immediately leaves and changes Miss Lee's tire. Takes him about 15 minutes. He did good. All right. Here's another one. This is a little girl named Pippa. She's from England. I don't know any American girls named Pippa. Maybe you do. And she had a dream that some other little boys and girls wouldn't get any Christmas gifts. So she told her mom about it, and they decided they were going to have care packages for boys and girls who might not get gifts at Christmas. And when other family people heard about it, they got 200 care packages for little boys 4 years old. And so I have a statement here. I hope that when you start to do good, you're encouraging other people to help. So many times when you'll go ahead and step out and say, I'm doing this, you get up and, yeah, I'll help you do that. Be the leader. Go ahead and do good. All right. This is the fast food. This picture is not really, it's just a picture of a fast food. But in Brandon, Florida, recently, 2 firefighters were in line at the fast food to get some food. And right as they got near the front, after waiting in line, their truck siren went off. In other words, the drivers tell them, get back here, we got a fire. So they turned around to leave, and this couple was in line. They had just bought their food after waiting in line. And they said, here, you take it. Oh, thank you. And they went and got in their truck. And so they got back in line and when they got up there to buy food again, the man said, you ain't paying. And so I say 5 people were blessed that day. The firefighters, the couple, and the manager. I think that night when they look back on it, they all smile. Because when we do good, we feel good. A little thing like that. All right. here's a market recently, and I think this was Arkansas. Woman was in line, and she just, I don't know why she wouldn't use credit card, she was paying cash. And when they told her how much it was for groceries, she was $12 over. So she started taking things out. I don't know if you've ever done that. Nah, that's too much, you know. And so the guy behind her says, wait, here's a $20 bill. Here, pay for all of it. She says, no, I couldn't do that. He said, listen, my mom has cancer. I've been going to see her in the hospital every day and taking her flowers every day. She said, quit bringing me flowers. Use that money to do something good for somebody else. So he said, here, this is my mom's flower. And she's okay. All right. I don't know if you can read it, but this woman says, dear waitress, today would have been my beautiful mother's 68th birthday. She was a waitress for life. And it was a hard job, she goes on to say. So in honor of my mom's birthday, I hope this helps pay for an unforeseen bill, a trip for ice cream, or a much-needed manicure, pedicure. I get those all. So, no, I don't. That's nothing wrong with it. Thanks for all you do, kindly, the proud daughter of Linda. And she gave her $68 tip for her 68th birthday in honor of her mom. I thought that was sort of neat. Another good thing, and I'm not saying you have to do that, but all right, this guy's name is Joe Thomas, I believe, works at IHOP. And this couple, the lady has this disease where she cannot really operate motor functions too good. So when they come in there once a week, the husband feeds the wife, and then he eats. So one day when they come here and the husband started to feed the wife, said, Joseph, I got this. And he fed the wife while the husband ate so they could eat together. Who does that? Who has the humility to accept it or humility to feed somebody else? But Joe did good. This is a guy in Atlanta named David. You call him the ICU grandpa. He goes in twice a week and holds the little babies, especially preemie babies, when the mother can't come in that day. He's been going in twice a week in the Atlanta hospital for 12 years. Just holding babies. All right, here's another one. This is not the real picture. This is just a picture of a teen guy on a bike. But a guy tells a story how he came out to the parking lot and realized he left his cell phone and his keys inside the car and locked it. Thankfully, my car, he can't do that. Won't let me lock myself out. I like that. But he left his, and so he's kicking the thing and saying some word, grumbling. And his teenage boy rides up on the bike and said, what's the matter? And he told him I locked it in there. And even if I could call my wife, she doesn't have a car to bring me the other key. He said, where do you live? He said, I live over 3 miles from here. He told him where. He said, I know where that is. If here's my cell phone, you call your wife, tell her I'm coming to get the key. He said, oh, that'd be 7 miles round trip. I don't care. So he did. He came back about an hour with the key. The guy said, here, let me pay you. He said, nah, I need to exercise anyhow. And he rode off. I like to hear good stories like that. Young people who take an hour of their time and help somebody else. Good things are happening still all around. They're not on the news. They don't lead with that. Somebody helped somebody unlock his car today. That doesn't sell. We like to hear about fire and death and political division and hatred. But we need to hear this good stuff going on. Now, I want to tell a few stories about policemen because of the negative stuff they got, and I know some policemen don't do things they should. I get it. Some of them are too abusive, too harsh, do things. I get that. I know some preachers that do some things they shouldn't do. But that doesn't mean we'll write off all preachers or all policemen. This guy in San Diego, California, and there's a thing on there that tells the time and the date. This is actually 9 years ago, 2011. He saw a little boy outside there and said, here, I'll buy you lunch. And he's buying this little boy lunch. He goes out and leaves there at 2:57. At 3 o'clock, a guy comes up, he's sitting in his car and shoots him and kills him. I know that's not a happy thought, but the last thing he did was a good deed for somebody else. And this one is from outside of Phoenix, Arizona. this little girl's father was a policeman who was hit by a guy who ran through a red light. And so it was time for daddy-daughter, father-daughter dance. And some of the local policemen took her. She had 10 fathers that day. I like that stuff. Here's another policeman. I think he's also in California. This little girl's bike was stolen. He bought her another one and even helped her to teach her how to ride it. And the mother wrote a grateful letter to thank you. Oh, this was so nice. Appreciate it so much. I'm telling you, don't believe the media that says that all police are bad. Or all is bad. All blacks are bad. All whites are bad. All police are bad. All preachers are bad. Don't believe that junk. That's a lie. Woman in Minnesota, her husband died at a young age. A woman that she worked with wrote her a note every week for a year. She said, I don't believe I would have made it without those notes. Thinking of you, you can make it, praying for you. You can write a note. I'm going to tell you something about notes. They are so underused. You know what kind of mail I get? I get bills and junk mail. How much often do I ever get anything, a personal letter or note? Very rare. Which to me is such a cheap way to send a letter of appreciation, encouragement. Write a note. And somebody got personal mail. Oh, I got real mail. I think that's a great thing to do. The lady in the eastern part of Spokane, Washington was starting a blizzard and she was trying to get home. She knew her tire was bad, but there was a guy running right close coming behind her and she didn't want to pull over. Finally, the tire went all the way flat and she pulled over. The guy ran up and said, "Pop your trunk. I want to change your tire for you. I've been following you for 2 miles. I was going to get off back there, but I was afraid you wouldn't make it." And he changed her tire and she went on her way. The guy she was suspicious of was the guy that helped her. This is, I can't remember this guy's name now. This is not a picture of the real guy I'm talking about, but it's a group of paramedics. This young boy was born 10 weeks early. We had a boy 10 weeks early. We know what that's like. But he got a severe infection. The doctor, his pediatrician, stayed with him day and night for 2 days and saved his life. This little baby 10 weeks early. Fast forward 30 years. That little boy is now a paramedic. He and his partner come upon a car in flames. They put out the flames, and they can't open the door. They have to use the jaws of life to get their man out. He saves the man, and the man is his pediatrician. And so I say, I believe I put here, your good deed may come back to bless you. You know, if you heard about how that may come back to haunt you, I'm telling you, your good deed may come back to bless you. Give and it shall be given you, Jesus said. Pressed down, shaken together, overflowing. Now, I'm not saying that's a reason to give, but you watch out if you aren't blessed when you bless others. I believe that. A woman who's now a woman, when she was 7, she's from England. They were visiting the Grand Canyon. At 7, she had a favorite blanket. And maybe you got a favorite blanket. Maybe you're 70 and got a favorite blanket. I don't know. But she had this favorite blanket that she's playing with, and it flew out the window. Gone. Lost. They go to the next gas station. She's sitting there with her mom. She's got a sandwich to eat. She's too sad to eat her sandwich. She lost her favorite blanket. And a big, burly, tall, tough biker comes up and says to her mom, "Is that your blue car there?" And the mother said, she just nodded. And he reaches in, pulls out the blanket, hands it to the little girl. He turns off. She said, "All thing I can do is run up and give it my sandwich." You never know, even with some tough-looking guy, he don't look that nice, to do a blessing. And then I want to say, is this the video? Or before I say the video, and this applies to what we're getting ready to do. Next week we packed shoe boxes. Since 93, I believe, they started, there's been about 180 million shoe boxes given to children in 160 countries. That is amazing. Here's another amazing one. Since 2009, they started doing, when children would receive Jesus, they did a 12-week discipleship class with him. 23 million have went through a 12-week discipleship class after getting a shoebox. Is that, and do you know much you can do better than that, the bang for the buck? I tell you what, I'm glad we're a part of that. So this is, I think it's a 1-minute video of one little girl's thanks. Let's see if we can.
This one is for you from Jesus. Jesus loves you, my friend. Jesus loves you. He loves you so much. I received these gloves that I really love. It's my favorite color. Yes. And I received this awesome mask that I'm going to scare my little sister and brother in the night with. Yes. And this pen. And I'm going to use it in every book I have for school. And these awesome socks. And yeah, I just love it. It makes me feel like Jesus loves me, yes! It's like, it brings this feeling to my heart that there's somebody out there that wants to share God's word, and even though we feel lost, that God is not there, that yes, God exists, and He hears our prayers. Thank you.
Wow, who would want to be a part of that? It's a great work of the Lord, I believe. I'm going to close just real quick with 5 suggestions in one verse. I did all of these. I know it was a lot of different stories to just give us ideas that there's something we can do. We can do good. And maybe it's something we didn't even plan on. There was an opportunity. Let's do something. Let's help somebody. And also to show you that in mankind is a great capacity to do evil and a great capacity to do good. Because we're made in the image of God, but that image has been corrupted in our fall away from God. And so both are there. But here's the 5 suggestions. Oh yeah, you can help change the world, sow the seed of gospel just when you are doing good deeds, like Operation Christmas Child. All right, 5 suggestions. Use your mouth. Okay? And you can think about, how can I? Well, I can pray for people. I can encourage people. I can give good advice. I can invite them to church. I can tell them about Jesus. There's all kinds of things, good deeds you can do with your mouth. Or your ears. I can listen to people because there's a whole lot of people out there who wish somebody just take a minute to listen to them. And we can do that. Or our eyes. What can we do with our eyes? Well, we can look around and see. Instead of looking just at our own belly button and what am I having for lunch, we can look around and see if there's ways we can help people. And with our hands, we can do all kinds of things, of good things, helping people with the use of our hands, like the guys who changed a tire, or even give somebody a hug. Or with our feet, to just get up and go do something. Jesus went around doing good. We should do likewise. And so, in this verse of Ephesians 4:32, instead of the things it talks about, 31 of the bad things, the harsh words, the rage, the bitterness, and that kind, instead, be kind to each other, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, just as God, for Christ's sake, has forgiven you. Let's bow our heads for prayer.